Hello developers. Welcome to Elixir Pro. In this video, we're going to talk about the worst way to handle with fashion with a live view. My name is Gustavo, and here in Elixir Pro, we discuss strategy and tips for your Elixir journey. This is from scratch until your first wave as an Elixir developer. And today we are going to be talking about session with Elixir. I'm gonna tell a little bit more about my experience and how I handle with session and amazing tools after Phoenix 1.6 that I like a lot because kind of problems that we've been facing on old versions was like how can we handle with session. How can we don't replicate and don't copy and paste coding handle info handle params or handle events as well with Elixir. And this is really awesome tools that we have now. But before we start coding, check some stuff, I'd like to talk about what is a session. Session basically is like a temporary assignment in your application that we're going to use, and then it's going to disappear. And that's all that we need to talk about session. Ways to handle with session with live view and sorry, not live view, but with Elixir and Phoenix is plugins. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you some options. So this is the application that we're going to talk. But we have plugs. So we have plugs. We have awesome tools like Phoenix token. This is really awesome. So we don't need to use when you have Phoenix token to store into the database, and this is going to expire. This is awesome too as well. So, but today we are going to be talking about one of the awesome tools that we have now in Phoenix 1.6, which is Phoenix Live Session. This is awesome, and I will tell you a little bit more about my history using this guy. Not this guy, sorry. Phoenix Live Session. Live view. So this guy, it's awesome. And we need to talk about it a little bit. What is the difference between session and live session? I think for me, the main difference is that when we're using the live session, it's like a way to include information in our socket, and we don't need to replicate a lot of code. And it's like a mirror like plugins or a session, but we have superpowers, and you'll see that how easy is to use that, like handle params, handling events, and handling info easy way. This is really awesome. And how I find this out was I've been working with Phoenix and LiveView since that we were Phoenix 1.4. Since that LiveView was a plugin, not like a default in our LiveView applications. And one of the things that has been happening is that was really hard, for example, to use upload images. I think that was the main problem. After Phoenix 1.5, live view is default, which is awesome. We don't need to have like, hey, install this lib and then include this code in your socket, configure your socket. That was really boring, to be honest. And Phoenix 1.5, I've been facing problems like managing session or managing the full params to your to the socket was really hard. After Phoenix 1.6, I noticed this documentation, I noticed this feature. So if you check like Phoenix 1.6 change log, when I was reading this guy, let me check the release. And I saw a lot of things, and one of them was live session. When I read this guy, and I thought that it doesn't make sense for me, since that it was really necessary to use. So that was my experience, and I think this the live session was one of, for me, was one of the biggest feature. I know that a lot of people is telling that ESC build was awesome, but this guy is a way that handle with socket was being tough, like difficult to manage and difficult to include more informations, and that's what was my experience. Do you remember when I mentioned like live session is um, like a session with superpowers? This is we are going to learn now why why we have superpowers. So for example, imagine that you have an application and you need to send to I don't know if you remember on Phoenix 1.6, 1.5, that you have to get the socket, check if this, if when you are handling with the params like mount, we have params, session, and socket. And one of the things that was happening is that we need to get the session and then always assign the user. This is boring. To be honest, every page that you're building, like assign the user. So it really doesn't make sense. I know that Phoenix LiveView, it's new, it's a new feature compared with other frameworks. But when I was replicating that, it's okay because it was a habit, or maybe like let's assign in our live view stuffs. But after live session, this is much more easier, and we are going to learn how to do that. Okay, so first of all, I created a normal Elixir application, just mixphx.new, like every video that you've been following in our YouTube channel. But in this case, I just comment the test app.repo because we're not going to use the database in this class, okay? So now let's start our application. This is a normal application, as I mentioned to you. So as you can see, it's so basic application. We're gonna use a live view page. How we're gonna do that is pretty straightforward. We only need to create a router. So in this case, it's gonna be like page live, and now let's create this page. And there you go. I'm not going to talk about the life cycle when we are using the live view, but in this case, we only need test app web page live. Let's use the live view. And let's create our HTML. Let's say hi. And there you go. We've got our HTML. And one of the things that's going to happen is that I want to send some params as a default, and I want to get in our pages. So this is one of the full features that we're gonna build. So imagine that we have like name, and I'm going to say Gustavo. When we do it, nothing happened. We're just loading our page. So let's check our mount. F mount params session and socket. Socket. I'm gonna say like let's check our session as well. Our page is going to be refreshed. And as you can see, we've got the params here. We can use that. For example, we could say like sign. I'm gonna say like name. I'm gonna say socket, name, and the name is going to be this guy. So as you can see, we have nothing in our session. And now we are going to include this information in our screen. So give me a second. I'm going to refresh my page. I think my terminal is frozen. What's happened here? Let me close this guy and try that again. Do nothing. I think it's because a lot of things is opened. Let's try again. And there you go. What's happened? Okay, I'm going to ignore this guy. Let's start our application, but before we're going to say as you can see, session is unused. It's fine for us. And now we've got the params coming to this guy. But what is our challenge now? Imagine that we were receiving like a user or like params, and we want to replicate that for all our pages. I'm going to ignore this guy now. I'm going to remove this guy. And as you can see, our page is not gonna be loaded. It's saying that the name is not a function, is not found. That's fine. And our goal now is to use the live session. This is just an example, but it's a powerful example. As you can see, imagine that we have like a session. This is a really nice explanation to use that. And we can have like pattern matchings and the other stuffs. And what we're gonna do is like creating a live session. For example, we can use like live view, live. Probably this guy comes from route, I think, and live session. That is the documentation. It's really nice. Good morning, Adolfo. I'm missing you a lot, to be honest. I want to talk with you and appreciate that you are here. Really, I really appreciate that. So now imagine that we have the live session, and this is a way to use that. So we have a really nice documentation. For example, we have like this explanation, like uh, how live session works, and I'm gonna teach you on practicing that. And one of the things that we need to do is give a knife. We can give a knife. We need to give a knife a name to our live session, and we need to use the on mount. Where is our module to build our live session stuff? So to do that, we're gonna use like live session, and we're gonna say that the name is gonna be like maybe assign params. We're gonna give the directory to access our live session. I'm gonna say I always like to use this pattern. Let me think the name. Maybe default signs. I'm gonna say on mount. In every page that we have underneath this live session, we are going to assign some stuff. So let's check our first error. As I mentioned to you, Phoenix help us when we make mistakes. So our first mistake is that the module does not exist. What we're gonna do, I always like creating my live sessions in my live folder, and I always like to give this name default assigns. And now let's create this module. Let's check what's going to happen now. And it's complaining that our unmount is undefined. And as you can see, we have arity for params, which is the first one is default, the second one is our params, the third is our session, and the fourth is our socket. So let's do it. F on mount. I'm gonna say like this is like a parameting how we're going to use our assigns. This is our params. The second is our session. We're not gonna use that, and we're gonna have our socket, and let's start creating that. So one of the things that we're gonna do is like count socket. Let's check how it works. And as you can see, we still have like name not found. So we can use like assign. Let's just use this guy like name, socket, name, and name. Let's check now what's going to happen. And boom, our problem is that we don't have the function assign. Sorry, let me fix that. We probably don't have this function as well. Where do we have this function? We've got this function when we use live view pages and live components. This is the way that we have that. So for example, if we go to the live session, as you can see, one of the powerful recommendation is that let me check read guide for security model. This is really nice tool as well. This is a way to handle with the authentication, which is awesome. It works really well. So this is an example using the live session to handle when the user is correct or not, throwing her message. It's awesome. So now we're gonna use, as the documentation is showing for us, this way, import Phoenix LiveView. Why are we going to use this way? because we're gonna have the benefits to use like Phoenix LiveView functions, and we don't need to create like default assigns.html. When we use this way, we don't need to create the HTML. If I change this guy for, sometimes I made that mistake, like use live view, it's going to work as well, but it's going to complain that we don't have our HTML. That's why I don't like to use this way. Okay, so I'm going to use this one, and as you can see, our page live, we don't have kind of this information. So as you can see, it's a really blank page. We have everything. We have the param name in our page application, without using mount, without using handle params, without using handle events and handle infos, which is, in my thoughts, it's awesome tool. For example, imagine that we have like a name as a default for every premise. It's not going to happen, but this is just a simple example how to use the live session. And imagine that we're gonna have another page that we're gonna have like I'm gonna use another live session to show you how it works. So we're gonna have another live session. We're gonna use the same module. I'm gonna say like admin, and now we're gonna say like admin live. I think this is enough for us. I'm going to copy and paste this guy, but I'm gonna give the name like admin, and I'm gonna say admin live. And I'm going to say like admin live.html. And what's happened on admin live? I think everything now is okay for us. I think it's because the name here is page. When we do it, as you can see, attempting to redefine the live session, we can use the same live session, but the params, the name should be different. So for example, I can give the name like assign admin params. Let's check that again. It's complaining. Okay. We've got our page. It should work. Admin live. Why? Let me check. We don't have, probably our code is not, my code is not recompiled. So let me stop my application and try that again. There you go. It's working. Let's check our admin page. It's working as well. But do you remember about the unmount? We have a secret here. For example, if you check this guy, default assign, this is because using like default, but I want to send some params right here. But let's inspect this guy. I'm gonna say PM. PM. As you can see, is default. But let's change these params now. Is this code going to be available after the live? You mean the code or the live? because most of the time when I use live here, I always start like uh, normal Phoenix application. I just use like mixphx.neo and create the application. I don't push to the GitHub. But this live specifically, it's going to be available on YouTube channel. The code is pretty simple, Adolfo. It's like only normal Phoenix application, like this. And then I'm sending the examples, but I can send you on private channel. But I don't usually do that because this is just an example code. But I can send to you after this live, okay? So now we've got like a default, and I want to change this param. How can we do it? So what we're gonna do is just like admin, like a tuple, and include like a tuple like this params now. And when we refresh the page, okay, I made a mistake. Is first is the module, and the second is the param. Let's refresh the page. This is gonna work now. And as you can see, we have look like a pair matching. So imagine that we have the normal user and an admin user. We can use this way to define that. So now what we're gonna do, it's like we have this as a default. We have when is admin. I can replicate the code in this example. And when is admin, I'm going to say like my name Gustavo and Adolfo. So now when we refresh the page, as you can see, we have a pattern matching using the live session. This is just a simple example, but we have more nice tools here. And one of them that I really like a lot, as I mentioned to you, I don't think that the documentation show it's really well for us, but we have like a touch hook. And in this example, we can use this way, for example, to assign nice tools to our application. And one of them that we're gonna use now, it's like a handle info. Imagine that we need to use a handle info in our application. So for example, we have this attach hook, and I want to include an event like handle info. For example, we can use this way, like this. You can take a look and check how it works. And in this guy, we're going to include like a count. We're gonna say like every page that we're gonna have, we want to use like a count here. We're gonna say like strong. It's not working, unfortunately. Count strong, and I'm going to say count. Now we're gonna have this param, and I need to use this guy in our application. So when we go to our default assigns, we have this guy assigned to our socket. So what we're gonna do is like this. When it's admin, assign, count, and I'm gonna say 0. Let's check our admin page. And as you can see, we have our count. I'm going to just put a line here. I'm going to include a button. And this button, let me check what we're gonna do. I think not a button. I think we can have like a handle info. So this is a really nice and awesome tool. For example, we can have we've already have those params, and I want to include an attach hook. As you can see in the documentation, it's pretty straightforward. For example, I can give the name, for example, increment in our hook. So what we are going to do is like give you a name, for example, increment. Then we're gonna have our function, and our function is like it's very similar. Like you can pass like a params like handle event, handle info, or handle params. In our case, we're gonna use the handle info. The full params that we have when we are using the handle info, it's not like a name. We need to have our like a trigger to our event and our socket. So we're going to trigger like info, no, sorry, inc, and we're gonna have our socket. So inc and socket, and we're going to say that when we are doing this, we're going to include like count and socket. And what we're gonna do is that we're going to get our count. After getting our count, we're going to increment 1. So to do that, we're going to get our assigned count. So now we have our count. I'm sorry, we have a better way. Update socket count. Plus 1. I think this is enough. And when you have like the full events defined, I strongly recommend you to do this way, like count and socket. And I think that's more than enough for us now. Let's refresh our page and check if everything is working. Okay, I forgot. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. So we're gonna have this way, and I'm going to remove this guy, and I think this is enough for us now. As you can see, we have our event, and I want to increment more information on this guy. So what we're gonna do is that I'm going to get our LiveView process ID. So Erlang to list self, and there you go. We got our process ID. I'm going to say like it's going to be PID. Now we've got our process ID for this page, and I want to increment more stuff on this guy. So to do that, I can use send link to send PID to with this message inc. If everything's working, as you can see, we are incrementing information to this guy. You can do that any times. And for example, if you have the same one in our live view page, like if we go back to this guy, like default name Gustavo, and I want to do the same to our default assign. So this is pretty straightforward. We only need to use this one, or like assign inc, receiving the socket. This is more than enough for us. And what we're gonna do is just Include this one right here. Socket. Now, what we're gonna do is just using this way right here, and you can use like here as well. Unfortunately, my format code is not working. So, and this is what we have now. And as you could see, I'm using the same way. I didn't code. I code nothing in my admin page, and I code nothing on my page live. I just going to use this way as well to show our page. We're going to get our process ID, and as you can see, I am in my page live, and I have my process ID. I'm gonna get this guy, and I'm gonna say like Pete. Now send Pete Inc. And it's working also like normally. So this is also an awesome tool to use live session when it's necessary. You can do a lot of things. You don't need to replicate a lot of code. And for me, this is one of the best advantage that we have in our Phoenix 1.6. Sorry. Hope you like this video. See you on the next one, and bye-bye.